Gonna work on the tongue and this heel piece-ish in this video, so I'm gonna come into this layer, duplicate it, the Shift D, screencast keys, okay. Hide the upper, let's rename this tongue, excuse that. Okay, edit mode. Basically, we just need, I would say, just this edge here, which is going to run all the way around. So I'll hit Shift D on that, and then hit Escape, and hit P on the keyboard for separate it, and you want to separate it by selection. So separate means just moves it to a new mesh item over here. So P on the keyboard by selection. Cool. Now, can do is tongue, bring the upper back. Okay. So for now, gonna pick just two verts in there, and that. So immediately, I notice I picked just two vertices here. There's one here and one here. Then when I pick them, the axis is kind of off, which tells me immediately that my selection, what do they call this? I guess my selection type is wrong. Sorry, that's the wrong, not my pivot. But actually this, which is the transform orientation. I always forget the name of that. So that wants to just be on global most of the time, unless you're doing something specific. Okay, anyways, I'm just gonna hit X to delete those two verts. So now I have two separate pieces. Probably the easiest way to do this is to pick this edge, or set of edges, I guess you would say, Control E, and bridge edge loops. So now it's just kind of coming straight across. That's not exactly what we want, but it's in the zone. So let's see what I'll probably do. Just come over here and just get rid of these verts as well. Take these and just drag them up here. Hit SZ and 0 to flatten them out, and then SX0 to flatten them out this way. Oopsie. Okay, so maybe move this guy back a little bit. What I'm going to do is just add a loop down the center here, and then what that's going to simulate is some of the curve of the cross section of the tongue. So just Control R. Just debating whether I should do one or two loops. Maybe two, so I'll undo that. Control R and scroll up. There you go. Just hit Escape. Okay. Pick this edge. Basically, all you want to do is just drag it down. Over. Well, maybe not so far. As far as that it wraps back like this, I would have to say this almost certainly is wrapping back too far. And it's probably more realistic that it wraps to like here-ish, if I had to guess. I have a feeling in general that I'm not like a shoe guy, but my sense is you're going to get maybe some odd buckling of various, kind of like right here, and then this tongue I imagine would be fairly unmanageable to live with as a shoe, as a practical shoe. But so that's why I'm saying I would cut it down probably to here, just to be more realistic. Unless it does something under here where, like if you had cut out sort of this portion of the tongue, so it's basically a bit narrower up to here, and then it actually flares out. You know, I can model it like that if you want. So you do kind of keep this. That would just make it more wearable, I believe. I'm also going to just nudge these guys back, well, to the left, I suppose, in space, but sort of back. Just to kind of get that shape started, I'll pick these, also pull them down. I could have done this at the same time I had this row done. That probably would have been the smart thing, but I'm not always that smart. So a little gap right here. That's partially due to the fact that there's not a ton of subdivision down there, but I can undo that. But I'll just pull, let's see, I could pull them forward, I could flatten them, and you see all these rows aren't straight. That totally doesn't matter, especially for what you're doing. or at least that's nothing I've have all perfect at this point, because I'm just sort of massing it in here, or just figuring out the generalized proportion. So yeah, I think the easiest way, it's like part of me wants to just extend this, and the easiest way to do that is to hit GG on the keyboard, and you can see like you'll be able to slide this way, but then it sort of stops, like kind of where the points already are. I'm hitting, just hit escape. So if you want to sort of keep this line of action but go the other way, tap GG and then hold down Alt. Yeah, Alt. And you can see these other blue lines that pop up there. I can't do that. Just zoom out a little more so you can see that. So if I hold down Alt while after I've tapped GG, you can see that down here they sort of cross each other. So you probably definitely don't want to go that far, but just down to there is probably fine. And actually, I'll press S, X, and 0 to flatten them this way, just because practically speaking, something is getting sewed to something under here somewhere. And since you have this straight line, this would be another place probably where it's straight. And I might do the same with these. Let's see here. Yeah, and maybe just take these and pull them up. Good enough. And actually, while we're in there, might as well pick this edge and this edge, and just tap G on the keyboard and pull those out till it's pretty closely matching in the sketch. B, and then I'm gonna hold down Shift. Yeah, just do it this way. So from the front view here, so these are like, these make sense, like just sort of the arrangement of these verts. Gosh, and you can see we're getting these weird dark core shadows again. So I'm gonna just go to where it's kind of terrible, like there, and Command comma system. Let's see, sort of drag this around until it looks a little better, and hopefully we're just not stuck in shadow soften. So anyways, these are kind of making the right shape, coming across the top of the foot, although I might just drag this one down a little bit, maybe this one too, kind of from this view, just to get them a little more aligned, something like that. But then these from, I guess, front view look a little strange, and as does the front view. Like everything looks a little shifted this way, versus it would be more shifted this way. So let me, before I do anything else, just fix that. So I'm gonna hide the tongue for a second. So the best way that I know to do this, I mean, I could take this mesh and, the heel cup and the upper, and sort of could just join them into one mesh and then separate them again. I'm not gonna do that in this case, just so I can move them all at once versus doing what I'm about to do. So pretty much want to take these and what's the good fall-offy way to do this? Tough to say. You know what? I'm not going to worry about that for right now, and we'll get into like some proportional editing stuff later. Okay. But again, these are the kinds of things you just sort of start to notice as you look at things, especially orthographically. But to sort out these sequential rows here, I'm just going to do the same thing by pressing S to scale, Z to constrain it, and then 0 to flatten it, basically. So C0, I should really map that to a hotkey. So should the Blender Foundation, of course. Enter SC0. Probably this one as well. And these, I'll maybe take this one and just slide it down. Do the same with this one, just to space those out. And that's feeling better. Maybe I'd take this one and tap G twice and sort of slide them up a little bit like that, so it's kind of turning that corner nicely. What else? Probably add a loop in here just to keep the geometry spacing pretty consistent. Here. Okay. So if we go into this view, this sort of visually. Let's get these guys a little more where they need to go. Something like that. Actually, I'm going to do this because I didn't slide those, I just sort of move them. It's probably the smarter way is just to move them till they look lined up. Then I'm kind of keeping my shape a little bit better. That. Nothing to agonize over. Okay. So, okay. So realistically, I would say if we add an edge down the middle and leave it right in the middle, you can grab this guy and then use your slide, the GG, to sort of move this guy over more. Do the same here. Alright, because I'm just wanting to have more geometry to be hidden under this. So again, I'm going to tap GG, hold down the Alt key to get it to sort of extend a little bit. Do the same over here, GG, hold down Alt, slide them out a bit. It's okay that they're going to poke through the shoe a little bit, fix that. Then I would take this one here in the middle and hit, let's see, Control E, and we want to bevel, so yeah, we could hit Control B to bevel, and just drag, and then it just sort of splits that row in half. That's pretty good. And again, that one's sort of got sucked back in by some of this geometry manipulation, so just tap G and sort of move it out again. And let's see, is it this one? No. Yeah, okay. Good grief. Stop that. Okay, so we'll just come in here, sort of grab these, not that one. Just drag them forward a little bit. Matches the sketch. It's pretty close. Okay. So yeah, you can see it's sort of flowering back out on itself there. Not a huge deal, but yours definitely looks, it's not really shaded like a cylinder, like the front of the leg, but I'm assuming that's what it's doing. So if it was me, I'm probably taking, let's see, you want flexibility in there, but you want this tall tongue, so it's bothering me that that's flaring out. Okay, so go into edge mode, pick this guy, this guy, this guy, and that guy. Let's see if you've got the strap coming over. Yeah, that's probably where I'd stop that. Just tap E on the keyboard and then X. Gonna move it back. Oops. And again, I'm not going to bring it quite that far back, but maybe halfway is probably about as realistic, I think, as that's going to be practical. Drag it out until it's there-ish. Probably going to add 2 edges. And I'm adding 2, just keeping these polygons roughly the same size is kind of my goal. Let's see, I want to move these. I think normal should work for this. Yeah. Just to give it this bit of curve. So use that normal transform orientation. That looks not bad. Real quick, if we hide the upper, you can see that you've got a pretty soft curve in there, and I don't know if that's what you want or not, but we can always add more loops, just add a loop here, and here later to sharpen that curve. But for right now, I'm just going to leave it nice and lightweight. So edge loops, X, edge loops, okay. And I'll do the same over here. So that's the top. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4 edges. Go back to global. EX. Pull this guy back. Looks about right. Pull it out. So again, we're not going to worry about that. That's crashing through. That's all fixable later. So I'm going to add those 2 loops. Make those normal. Try to curve it like that a little bit. I'm seeing that this set of edges looks a little flat in here, so those and pull those out a little bit. These do as well, not as severe, but just pull those out a little bit too. And say these edges, maybe slide over just a touch. Cool. So that's the very, basis of the tongue. And then as far as some, again, I assume that this is not one piece, or that there's not some sort of elastic or something that's keeping them together, which could be interesting. But so go into the curve, lock the reference down there. So yeah, if you want to make something not pickable, just click this arrow, and that makes it restricts viewport selection. Control, I don't even know what recursive is, but okay. I'm going to give this, I'll just make a new material real quick. Just add new. Just call it tongue for right now. Maybe we'll call it tongue perf. Just because it's going to be different than whatever this little bit of piping is. So, just going to make pink just so I can see it really quickly. Go into edit mode, pick all the polygons and click assign. Go back into object mode and then pick upper leather, and you can just delete it out of the list of stuff that's associated to the tongue object. Okay, so if we pick any of these edges up here, tap L to pick the stuff that's connected or selected to it, or no, yeah, connected to it. Looks like I'm going to go into vert mode and pick, say, these verts, delete that. And I don't think I'm going to need those last two either. And I'm going to be bridging across, so I'll pick this edge in the middle, delete that. Vertex, vertex. So with these numbers of edges should match up, so their number of verts here should match the number of verts here. Control E, bridge edge loops. Okay. And hold on a second. Delete edge. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I think I deleted too much stuff there. So Control E and edge loops. Yeah, that looks more correct. So pretty much just wanna. I'm just gonna pick this. Actually, I'll pick all this stuff. It really, I mean, I guess it's the same material. Doesn't really need to be the same object though in my mind, because it's just not the same object as this. So I'll hit P on the keyboard, separate by selection, and I'll call this heel collar. Sounds about right. Not hell collar, heel collar. Just kidding. Jesus Christ. That's also not how you spell heel. Okay. So we're going to add some loops, probably 3 I think is about the right number to capture sort of around, like a shape that kind of comes around here. So I'll pick this, definitely turn this back to global. Oops, oh. That's what I was looking for, okay. So I've got that picked. Just going to drag him back to here, press S, X, and 0. And that's gonna, looks like it comes sort of just inside here, so leave that there. Pick this. Let's see, how do I want to move those? I'm gonna pick these, oops, press S. We're gonna strain those on the Y, tab 0, just so you get a nice straight line here. These, kind of want to invert them. Actually, you know what? I'm probably making this way too complicated. Let's just play this game where I'm gonna pick this edge and this edge, press X and delete those verts, and pick these down the middle. Delete those two. Those don't matter. Because really, it's not like this matters if it follows this curve exactly. So I'm just gonna kill those, pick this and this. And so it's straight. I noticed before if I pick these and I bridge these edge loops, it's not like straight across. So which isn't a huge deal. I mean, I can do a couple things. I can just sort of pick this one, turn on my snapping, turn on the vertex, and just use this constraint and drag it till it's or don't work too, that vertex. Okay, drag it till it's these are aligned. I mean, that's a pretty straightforward way of doing it. If you didn't feel like just picking one, you could have picked one section, just extruded them across as well, also works. So turn off snapping, and I'm just going to add maybe 2 loops for right now, drag those guys back. Sorry, not sure why these aren't straight. SY0. Oh, it's because these aren't exactly perfectly straight, which we'll work on in a second. Okay, sorry, front view. Sure, yeah, just not a huge deal. Okay, just maybe drag these up. Just drag that down inside. Scoot that back a bit. Just gonna add a couple loops, maybe 2 loops in there. Take this bottom, just start to scoot this back a little bit. These kinds of things, add a loop there. You know, usually these have a little bit of curve to them. They're not so like rigid, like straight up and down, just to have a little more life to them. So we've got to work on sort of the shape of this back edge, and then probably add another loop here and here. That same game where I'm going to tap G twice and then hold down Alt just so they can extend a little farther. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to drag them forward along with this edge. That. Yeah, and it comes in here, so we can press SX0 just to straighten those out. That'll help. Okay, so we have pick these guys. You can tap SY, just scale them a little bit closer to each other. Then I would just pick this and this, tap G just to drag them down their polygon there, and do the same with these guys. Just pull them down a little bit like that. Pick those, scoot them up, kind of get that shape going. And again, it doesn't matter that these aren't perfectly symmetrical side to side, you're just generally controlling the shape here. And again, I'd probably drag these back out just a little bit. Just has a little more flare. Drag these this way. Yeah, something like that. This might be a little flat, so I might pick these. Switch to my normal move mode, like here. Just to give it a little more curve, and do the same here. Kind of go into, just go into top view, I suppose. That would make sense. You could probably pick all the stuff and drag it that way a little bit, just based on where the shape of our heel cup is right now. Yeah, that's about all. Okay. So yeah, I'd say that's all we need to do for this. And what I'm going to do real quick with these is just, I mean, you can always, well, I'll just do this. Pick all these. I'm going to hide. Don't hide that, okay. Set this maybe back to normal. See if that gets me out of the... look out of place anyway. Okay, just drag this way out. Sometimes that's like I try to sneak it out. It's like it takes me forever to do it. And it's better to just fucking pull it out until it's way out, obviously, and then you can just kind of adjust everything to fit back to it. And again, this irregularity is actually, for this kind of project, is totally acceptable just because it's a shoe and it's, you don't want it to look like too manufactured. So that is the good news. Just generally trying to kind of keep the shape. And I'll show you some sculpting stuff maybe later just to sort out some of this stuff too. It's not complicated at all. Just looking at this point right here, just trying to see why it looks like it's sticking out so far, and that's because it is. And this one, I'm gonna limit my selection to visible so that stuff on the backside doesn't get selected. I'm notorious for doing what I was just, doing what I was just doing, and then, gosh, this mouse, okay. Doing what I was just doing and then like picking all this stuff on the backside inadvertently because this is on, like I'm picking stuff back here, which is not what I want to do. So when I'm doing stuff like this, I'll turn that off. Or just meshes that have like sort of two sides to them. Pull all this stuff out just a little bit more too. And that's fixed. Okay. And maybe I'll take this material and not make it pink. Make it more like sort of cool reddish. Okay, that'll back on. So yeah, and the next one I'll probably toss this band in there real quick, the strap rather. So that's 9 begin. We'll save this as save as.